Welcome to Victory News. It's Monday, January 27th, 2025. I'm Greg Stevens, along with Mike Garofalo and Tim Fox. Fior Hernandez is out on assignment, and these are the stories that we're watching for you right now. President Trump signed an executive order limiting government funding of abortions, and polls indicate most Americans are on his side. And the Department of Justice has dismissed its case against Dr. Ethan Heim, whistleblower who stood up against trans medicine. Ahead, we'll talk with Mass Exodus Movement founder, podcast host, and Victory News contributor Quisha King all about this and much more. But first, let's go to Tim Fox. He has our headlines. Tim.
Thank you, Greg. The first week of Donald Trump's second term has moved at warp speed, with a number of ideas mentioned in his inaugural address already becoming reality. According to the White House, during Trump's first 100 hours, he secured the border, deported illegal immigrants, freed political prisoners, and unleashed American prosperity. Since January 20th, more than $1 trillion of new investments were secured for the U.S. as the so-called Trump effect garners praises. Pro Truckers Association group posted their thanks on X, saying President Trump's decision to freeze regulations and curtail bureaucratic overreach is commendable. This is precisely what America needs: reduce government interference and increase freedom for small trucking businesses and entrepreneurs to flourish. Longtime Republican consultant Alex Castellanos told Fox that Trump was flooding the zone, rallying a wave of American support for a massive transformation of government. And at the end of his big first week, Donald Trump flew to North Carolina and then to California to tour hurricane damage and the fire-ravaged Pacific Palisades. The president also took time on Friday to sit down for a roundtable with L.A. Mayor Karen Bass and state and local officials, along with residents.
The federal government standing behind you, 100%. The First Lady and I are in California to express a great love for the people of California.
But he also called for common sense policies in California.
California must adopt the common sense policies to prevent fires, and we all know that.
The president and the mayor also had a bit of a testy exchange of back and forth on when homeowners could return to go through what's left of their belongings.
Yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people
time.
to be safe.
They're safe.
Well, the president said all federal permitting would be waived for the rebuilding process. Mike?
Tim, the president's cabinet nominees are slowly making it through the confirmation process. Pete Hegseth was confirmed Friday as Secretary of Defense, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting his first tie-breaking ballot. The 51-50 vote had three GOP senators, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, Susan Collins of Maine, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, joining Democrats in opposition to Hegseth's leadership. Meanwhile, retired Navy SEAL Rob Sweetman called Hegseth's confirmation a win.
This is an absolute win. God bless America. We prayed for this. Secretary Hegseth first put God into his speech, and he was hit with all different types of slander, nothing substantive, but he defended those gracefully.
And on Saturday, former South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem was confirmed to lead the Department of Homeland Security in a 59-34 vote. Another step by the new commander-in-chief. On Friday, he dismissed 17 independent inspectors general across multiple government agencies. According to the New York Post, the terminations include watchdogs from the Department of State, Defense, and Transportation, and they were immediate. By not giving 30 days notice to Congress, the president reportedly violated federal law. The White House has not commented on the dismissals, which critics view as an attempt to replace independent oversight with loyalists. But supporters like Sidney Powell argued that inspectors general are ineffective and need systemic reform. While inspectors general are typically independent and can serve across administrations, Donald Trump dismissed 5 during his first term. Recent legal protections for inspectors general passed in 2022, and they may be tested by these actions. An about-face by the government of Colombia on Sunday evening after the U.S. government acknowledged Sunday morning that American American military planes attempting to return Colombian citizens to their home country were denied permission to land. Here's a statement released by the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. It says the government of Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms, including the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States, including a U.S. military aircraft without limitation or delay. Based on this agreement, the fully drafted IEEPA tariffs and sanctions will be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement. The statement went on to say the visa sanctions issued by the State Department and enhanced inspections from Customs and Border Protection will remain in effect until the first plane load of Colombian deportees successfully are returned. Another welcome move before Donald Trump's first week in office was over. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, on Saturday invited the president to the U.S. Capitol to address a joint session of Congress on March 4th. In the invitation, the Republican from Louisiana praised Trump's leadership, writing this: "America's golden age has begun. Thanks to your strong leadership and bold action in the first days of your presidency, the United States is already experiencing a resurgence of patriotism, unity, and hope for the future." Johnson went on to say, your administration and the 119th Congress working together have the chance to make these next 4 years some of the most consequential in our nation's history. The last time Donald Trump addressed Congress was during his State of the Union speech back in 2020. Greg.
Arguably the most pro-life president in American history took another step to save the unborn on Saturday when Donald Trump signed an executive order ending Joe Biden's expansion of border abortion access. It mandates the federal government spend no more tax dollars on abortions at home or abroad. The order stated there would be enforcement of, quote, the Hyde Amendment and similar laws that prevent federal funding of elective abortion, reflecting a longstanding consensus that American taxpayers should not be forced to pay for that practice. The Daily Caller reports the president also signed another executive order revoking Biden's 2021 memorandum supporting the funding of abortions across and reinstating Ronald Reagan's Mexico City policy that forbids foreign non-governmental organizations from funding abortions as a condition to receive U.S. global health aid. A new Marist College poll released Thursday revealed that most Americans support limitations on killing the unborn. The Knights of Columbus and Marist College survey was conducted ahead of last week's March for Life, found 67% of Americans support legal limitations on killing the unborn. In addition, 60% say they believe abortion should be restricted to the first trimester. The poll also found 62% of Americans identify as pro-choice, while 36% say they are pro-life. It also revealed 57% and 73% oppose tax dollars being spent on abortion services in the United States and abroad, respectively. The survey of 1,387 adults was conducted from January 7th through the 9th, had a plus or minus 3.2 margin of error. To talk about this and much more, I'm pleased to welcome back Mass Exodus Movement founder, Victory News contributor Quisha King. Welcome back to Victory News.
A pleasure to be here, Greg.
All right. Trump says that taxpayers no longer have to pay for elective abortions at home or abroad. Quisha, Democrats are portraying this as something that's endangering the lives of pregnant women. But isn't the key word here elective?
Not only is the key word here elective, but the idea that an abortion, stopping this is endangering women's lives when the actual act of abortion is the thing that is endangering women's lives. And not only that, but killing the innocent children. So, I don't know what the pushback is. Let's just get this done. Thank God it's already done and move on already, because we don't want this spirit of death over our nation.
Yeah, anymore, for sure. President Trump made a promise to reinstate all military men and women who were dismissed from the military for not taking the COVID vaccine. That promise has now been kept. I want you to listen to the new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, respond to the president's actions on the military. Here it is.
We fully support on removing DEI inside the Pentagon, reinstating troops who were pushed out because of COVID mandates, Iron Dome for America. This is happening quickly. And as the Secretary of Defense, it's an honor to salute smartly, as I did as a junior officer and now as the Secretary of Defense.
Is the president's decision to reinstate with full back pay the right way to start Pete Hegseth's leadership at the Department of Defense? And do you think Biden wanted to use that to remove maybe right-leaning or conservatives from the military?
First, let me just say I am so happy to see Pete Hegseth officially Secretary of Defense. I think he's going to do a phenomenal job. I had the pleasure of interviewing him on my show. He is a patriot. He loves his country and he loves the military. Do I think that the Biden administration was trying to use this as a weaponization against Americans? I think the Biden administration was using everything they absolutely could against Americans, from the border to COVID, unconstitutional mandates, and everything that they did. I mean, this was truly an administration that wanted to use their power against its people. It was unbelievable. Yeah,
there's a change. You can sense it. And to that point, Marco Rubio thanked President Trump on X yesterday for his leadership and the release of Anastasia Neffer. She's an innocent American who'd been taken by Belarus during the Biden administration. Rubio said that the Taliban may have more American hostages than were once reported. If that's true, the Secretary of State said there will be a very big bounty placed on the top of the leaders' heads there. Does it seem like the administration is putting America first at home and abroad? Seems to me things are moving.
Absolutely. I don't think Americans have seen leadership like this in our lifetime. I don't think we've seen it. And it is so refreshing. So I think with how we are seeing President Trump move, it is smart for those to listen and to get his agenda done.
Cover of the New York Post this morning reads, there's a new tariff in town. Colombia's president was rejecting 2 plane loads of Colombian criminals who were deported from the United States. That is until Trump promised tariffs on imported Colombian goods, which is like coffee. What's the greater message to all nations that America will be returning criminal illegal immigrants to? What are your thoughts on that?
I thought this was incredible. You know, if you try to read his post, he wrote this long soliloquy about how he wasn't going to do it. And lo and behold, he changed his mind after Trump said, okay, if you don't, here's what's going to happen. Again, leadership like this is just rarely seen in the United States, especially on the Republican side. So I am here for it and glad to see it.
And he did it on the golf course. There you go. Quisha, thanks so much. We'll bring you back in just a moment.
Thank you.
Greg, sales of previously owned homes in the United States hit their lowest level since 1995 in 2024, according to the National Association of Realtors. Just over 4 million houses sold last year. The decline is attributed to high housing prices, elevated mortgage rates, and limited inventory despite population and job growth. However, December sales showed a 2.2% month-over-month increase, reaching an annualized rate of 4.2 million, the highest since February of 2024, and a 9.3% year-over-year gain. The median home price, listen to this, rose 6% from the previous year to $404,400. That's median. Analysts predict sales may weaken again in early 2025, that is, as mortgage rates rebound despite the housing market struggles. The Federal Reserve appears unlikely to adjust its gradual approach to rate cuts based solely on housing market data. The Department of Justice asked the U.S. Supreme Court late last week to freeze several cases, including Joe Biden's student loan bailouts and others on the environment. The Fox Business Report's acting Solicitor General, Sarah Harris, asked the High Court to stop proceedings in the student loan case and 3 environmental cases so the new administration can reassess the soundness of Biden's policies. Under Joe Biden, more than 5 million Americans had their student loan debt canceled through actions taken by the Department of Education. But Biden's actions faced numerous legal challenges, saying his decisions were out of the scope of his authority by acting without Congress. The 3 environmental cases deal with regulations issued by the Environmental Protection Agency during the Biden administration that were challenged. Greg.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arrested more than 1,000 illegal immigrants over 2 days last week, including 25 gang members, 10 of which were from Venezuela's Tren de Aragua gang. ICE reported the arrest in a 2-day operation with 593 arrests on Friday, following 538 on Thursday. ICE also issued 449 detainer requests to state and local authorities on Friday seeking custody of deportation targets upon release from jail or prison. The Department of Homeland Security praised the efforts as fulfilling President Trump's promises to secure the border and deport criminal aliens. The operation included military assistance, with the Pentagon providing air support to expedite deportations, particularly from Texas and California. The Department of Defense last week ordered a Marine deployment to help secure the border. Last Thursday, United States Marines landed in the San Diego sector to help Border Patrol agents strengthen border security. The Marines arrived in CV-22 Osprey helicopters with a mission to stop illegal crossings and smuggling. On Friday, the White House reported this video of Marine working along the border wall with Mexico. And all of the Marine deployed, about 500 from Camp Pendleton, were sent to work in busy areas like Imperial Beach Border Patrol Station. In just 1 week, the joint action reportedly took 1,647 migrants into custody, including children traveling alone. They also stopped 27 human smuggling attempts. The Marine deployment was called an executive order signed by Donald Trump on his first day in office. The birthright citizenship debate took center stage after President Trump signed an executive order banning it. The February 19th start of change in policy was temporarily blocked by a federal judge in Seattle last Thursday. Trump's order, titled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship, seeks to clarify the 14th Amendment. The executive order says, quote, the 14th Amendment has never been interpreted to extend citizenship universally to anyone born within the United States. Fox News Digital reports the Center for Immigration Studies revealed Friday preliminary findings of between 225,000 and 250,000 U.S. births in 2023 were to illegal immigrants. That's roughly 7%. 7% of total births in the United States that year. That's a greater total number of births to illegal immigrant parents than to legal non-citizens. The Center for Immigration Studies says the 2024 numbers look to be even higher because of the surge of illegal immigration into the United States under the Biden administration. Tim?
Greg, you can now add retail giant Target to the list of companies scrapping their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. The company announced on its website last week it would be implementing changes with the goal of driving growth and staying in step with evolving external landscape. The company says it will be ending its 3-year DEI goal, stopping their racial equity action and change initiatives, as well as stopping all external diversity-focused surveys. Additionally, they will be changing the supplier diversity team into a supplier engagement team. Target joins companies like Meta, Amazon, and Walmart, who have all rolled back their DEI initiatives in response to Donald Trump's executive order eliminating DEI from all federal government agencies. Mike?
Tim, the U.S. Supreme Court agreed Friday to hear arguments in a pair of cases challenging states banning religious schools from taking part in taxpayer-funded charter school programs. The Washington Times reported Oklahoma denied St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School from participating in that program, citing the religious nature of the curriculum. The state claimed allowing the school's participation would violate the Constitution's Establishment Clause by entangling government and religion. The New York Times reported Oklahoma Attorney General Gettner Drummond argued allowing the action would open the floodgates for taxpayers to fund all sorts of religious indoctrination, including Islam and the Church of Satan. The Times noted Justice Amy Coney Barrett recused herself from the case due to having a close friendship with the Notre Dame law professor who advised St. Isidore. According to the Supreme Court blog, the fast-track case will be argued during the last week of the court's April session. The decision is expected in late June or July. After a months-long legal battle, charges against transgender medicine whistleblower Dr. Ethan Heim were dismissed on Friday by the Trump-led Department of Justice. Fox News Digital reports Heim's attorney, Marcella Burke, stated this: the United States has finally agreed to drop the case against Dr. Heim. The case has been dismissed with prejudice so that the federal government can never again come after him for blowing the whistle on the secret pediatric transgender program at Texas Children's Hospital. Dr. Heim's wife spoke out on X, saying this, and thankful for the decision, writing, Ethan Heim was the only person with the courage to stand up for what was right. Because of it, the Texas legislature voted to save untold numbers of children in the state of Texas from the horrific consequences of transgender medical experimentation. Heim was the target in an ongoing criminal case brought by Joe Biden's Department of Justice for leaking documents revealing Texas Children's Hospital's Houston was performing transgender medical procedures on minors through May of 2023. All right, once again, let's talk with Victory News contributor and the host of the Quisha King podcast. Quisha King, check out this post from Senator Josh Hawley to Dr. Heim this weekend. It states, "Thank you, Ethan, for your courage, your conviction, and your integrity. Your bold stand has saved many lives, and thank you, President Trump, for ending the unjust persecution of a good man." Quisha, do we now need more whistleblowers at children's hospitals to come forward since they will be protected under the Trump administration?
I pray that we do, and I am so thankful for people like Ethan who would come forward. It takes a lot of courage, and he did. And we were able to see, what was happening. And the more we're able to see, the more Americans can tell what exactly was going on in this hospital that was aimed at our children. And so I'm so grateful to see it. And I pray that more people have the courage to come forward, not just at Texas Children's, but other clinics and hospitals around the country, so we can stop this madness from continuing in the country.
Agreed. Now, listen to Border Czar Tom Homan urge illegal immigrants in the U.S. to leave before they are arrested.
You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
Now, so Quisha, do you believe any measurable number of people living here illegally will actually self-deport?
I think we'll have some, of course, I hope that many more will do it. So that saves our administration and the troops of people involved from doing that work themselves. But regardless, they've got to go, whether they self-deport or if we deport them officially, they've just got to go. Your time is up. We are officially closed as far as open borders are concerned. And I'm so grateful for Tom Homan and everything that he's doing. He's checking on the people. He's making sure that things are running smoothly. So this is a matter that is so deeply important to me because it affects so many areas of our lives. But if they self-deport, I'm here for it. Or if we go and get them up out of here, I'm here for that as well.
So, Quisha, listen to CBS News try to nail Vice President J.D. Vance for not lowering grocery prices in the first 5 days in office.
Those things, when do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get to the grocery store? It comes on trucks that are fueled by diesel fuel. If the diesel's way too expensive, the bacon's going to become more expensive. How do we grow the bacon? Our farmers need energy to produce it. So if we lower energy prices, we are going to see lower prices for consumers, and that is what we're trying to fight for.
So, Quisha, with all the great things that have happened in just 1 week, does it feel like the legacy media still wants to play kind of gotcha even when they end up looking foolish?
They do. They can't help it. It's like it's something like in their blood or something. They don't know what to do with smart people. They are accustomed to people, quite frankly, who just do not know what they're doing, are uninterested in helping the American people. And when you come up against someone who's as sharp as Vice President Vance, you're going to have to do better than that. I'm sorry. There are so many awesome things that have been happening in these 5 days to say that, I watched that exchange and it just sounded like she wanted to be clueless, like she wanted to try to press him, like you said, having a gotcha a moment or whatever. So I don't know, maybe she can go viral on TikTok or something, but none of this stuff works anymore. Americans are seeing the legacy media for what it is, and quite frankly, we're tuning out.
You are correct. Now, to find out more about Quisha King and the Mass Exodus Movement, visit QuishaKing.com or MassExodusMovement.com. Thanks for being with us today, Quisha.
Thanks, Mike.
Tim.
Mike, newly confirmed Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a halt Friday on the majority of existing foreign aid as well as pausing new aid. According to the BBC, the guidance from Rubio follows through on Donald Trump's executive order directing the State Department to halt foreign aids and grants for 90 days pending a review. The U.S. is the world's biggest international aid donor, spending $68 billion a year. In 2023, that is. And also, on Friday, during a phone call, China's veteran foreign minister issued what could be considered a threat to Rubio. Newsmax reports that according to a foreign ministry statement, Wang Yi told Rubio, quote, "I hope you will act accordingly." That is a common Chinese phrase warning someone to behave and be responsible for their actions. As a senator, Rubio was a vocal critic of China and its human rights record. Now let's get the latest on Israel's war to defend itself from ILTV's Devo Klein.
The IDF withdrew this morning from the Netzarim corridor, allowing displaced Gazans to return to the north of the Strip. In exchange, Hamas has agreed to release Israeli civilian Arbel Yehud in an early release set to take place on Thursday. Arbel was supposed to be released on Saturday, but Hamas breached the ceasefire agreement by keeping her off the list for a second week. Joining Arbel in the early release is Agam Berger, the final female IDF observer who was left behind in the previous round, when Naama, Daniela, Karina, and Liri were released on Saturday. Also set to be released is American-Israeli Keith Siegel. According to reports, the second round set to take place this Saturday will include 3 male hostages. In addition, Israeli officials confirmed that they have received a list of the conditions of all the hostages included in the first phase of the ceasefire for hostage deal. Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, a day to commemorate the 6 million Jewish lives lost in the Holocaust. As such, Holocaust survivors, heads of state, and other dignitaries will attend the 80th anniversary event at the Auschwitz-Birkenau camp in Poland in a ceremony commemorating 1.1 million lives lost in the camp. Devo Klein for ILTV and Victory News.
Thank you, Devo. Please pray for the safe return of all hostages. Greg?
Idaho lawmakers have asked the United States Supreme Court to overturn its Obergefell v. Hodges decision, which legalized same-sex marriage. Just the News reports the resolution requests that the High Court reverse its 2015 ruling allowing same-sex couples to marry and let states regulate marriage. The resolution reads in part, quote, "The Idaho legislature calls upon the Supreme Court of the United States to reverse Obergefell and restore the natural definition of marriage, a union of one man and one woman." The resolution still has to be adopted by Idaho's GOP-controlled full House and Senate before a formal request can be sent to the United States Supreme Court. As we go today, there's a phone number right now on the screen, 877-281-6297, 877-281-6297. A licensed and trained prayer minister is ready to pray with you. I want to go back to this Holocaust Remembrance Day. We must teach our children what happened in Europe about the camps. It wasn't, there was Jews, 6 million of them, but it was also political dissidents and prisoners. They took people to prison that had differing ideas than the Democratic Socialist Party of Germany, called the Nazis. Guys, we came very close to that. We had people locked up in this country without a trial for protesting, and many of them peacefully. That's all changed with President Trump. I want to bring Tim Fox in here real quick. Tim, we've got to remember to teach our children these things. So agree with me, I'm going to pray. Lord, put us in remembrance of what has happened in our past so that it won't happen in our future. And thank you for sparing us from another Holocaust. In Jesus' name, amen. Our thanks to Quisha King, and especially you. Thanks for joining us. We return at 5 Eastern, 4 Central with conservative commentator and host of Politically Basic, Kyle Campbell, and WallBuilders.com President Tim Barton. Make sure you're here as well. The world reports the problem. Victory Channel brings the answer. Whatever's born of God overcomes the world. You're a world overcomer, and I'll see you this evening at 5 Eastern. Bye for now.